Good morning. Um, Today we're going to do a lesson on solving rational equations. So remember, a rational function is a fraction. So really what we're doing is solving an equation with fractions. Nobody likes fractions. So what our objective is to get rid of the fraction. So there are notes attached to the classwork where you'll see this typed out. So there's two types. If you have a fraction equal to a fraction, which really means you have a proportion, you cross multiply. So you're going to cross multiply, have an equation, solve. Only thing we have to always remember with rational equations is we have a fraction. And when we have a fraction, we can't divide by 0. So when it says check for extraneous solutions, you always want to check the denominator, put that x in. Do you get 0? If you do get 0, you're going to cross that answer out. It's extraneous. So starting with proportions, I'm going to do 2 of these. I'm going to write it down. So if I was given that problem, that's a fraction equal to a fraction. So what I'm going to do is cross multiply. One diagonal multiplied has to equal the other diagonal multiplied, and it doesn't matter which one you do first. So your equation would be, if I do it slowly, 3 times 4x plus 5 equals 9 times x plus 1. So then I would distribute, go through, and solve, which I'll do when I turn my head. It's not showing a lot of work, but I subtract 9x from both sides. I get 3x. I subtract 15 from both sides. I'd get negative 6 on the one side. Divide by 3, negative 2. Check it. Negative 2 will not give you 0 in either denominator. That's all you have to do if you trust your work. So that's a harder problem, but it's still a fraction equal to a fraction. So you're going to cross multiply. Now the one side's easy, 10x minus 10. The other side, you're going to have to distribute and get a trinomial. Now, since we have an x squared, we're going to have to use factoring the quadratic formula. It's going to be factoring with this. So you're going to want to get it all on one side, combine. I'm going to do that sort of quickly. So I'd have x squared minus 7x minus 18. Two numbers that multiply to give me 18, that subtract to give me 7 would be my 9 and 2. Now, if I check those 9 and -2 in the denominator, I'm not getting 0 for either one, so I'm good. Okay, that's a proportion. So if I don't have a proportion, and I'm given a problem like that, um, what I want to do is get rid of the denominator. So I have to think to myself, what do I need to get rid of an x? An x. What do I need to get rid of a 4? A 4. So what do I need to get rid of both of those? 4 times x. So I'm going to put, sort of like the complex fractions, put 4x over 1 and distribute that to every term in the whole problem on both sides, and think of what this is doing is crossing out your denominator. So you think in the first term, x on the bottom crosses off the x on the top, you would have 4 times 5, 20. Second term, 4 on the bottom crosses off the 4 on the top. You're going to have x times 7, but you are adding that. And then the third term, x on the top crosses off x on the bottom. You have 4 times -9. Now solve your problem. Subtract 20, divide by 7. You have x equals -8. So again, that is on the notes, and it explains finding that least common denominator and multiplying through. Now let's do a harder one. So you want to get rid of your denominators. Well, first one doesn't have a denominator. Second one, what do you need to multiply by to get rid of x minus 5? X minus 5. What do you multiply to get rid of an x on the bottom? An x on the top. So you need x times x minus 5. Multiply all the way through. So with the first thing, nothing crosses out. So you're going to have x. I do what's outside first. So think x times 1. And then x minus 5. And we'll do it in a second. I'm going to show all the work. Second term, x minus 5 on the bottom, x minus 5 on the top. Those are gone. So you have x times 8, which is 8x. Third term, x on the bottom, x on the top. Cross off, you have 3 times x minus 5. Now, remember, you're solving this. So now what you're going to have to do, distribute and solve. Since it's got an x squared, we have a quadratic. Bring everything to one side, factor. So I put all those x's together. I have minus 16x plus 15. 15 and 1. Again, think of those going in there. They're not going to give you 0, so you're good. So let's do this one. So you look at that problem, you think, okay, what would I need to multiply by to wipe out my denominators? I need a 2. I need an x minus 1. So what am I going to multiply by? A 2 times an x minus 1. Think of crossing out. 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. Second one, x minus 1 on the bottom, x minus 1 on the top. I have 2 times 4, which would be 8. Third one, x minus 1 on the bottom, x minus 1 on the top. So I have 2 x plus 1. Now you're solving, so do the math. Again, take -3, plug it in, no problem. We assume we hope we did it right. I hope I did it right. So one last one. So this goes along with problems from yesterday or couple last week, whatever. Um, when you think of what do you need to do to get rid of those denominators, don't think I need an x squared minus 4, I need an x plus 2, I need an x minus 2. Think if you can factor first. X squared minus 4 is x minus 2x plus 2. So what am I going to need to get rid of the denominators? X minus 2, x plus 2. With your first fraction, those both are going to cross off that. So you're going to be left with 3x plus 6. Second fraction, x plus 2, x plus 2. So you're going to have 5 times x minus 2. Third fraction, x minus 2, x minus 2 cross off. You're going to have x plus 2, x plus 1. Now that's going to take more time. Do the math. I'll do the math real quick. Hopefully I did that right. Now, have an x squared, get everything on one side. So I did my math, I factored, I got -7 and 2. Well, this is the one question that if you look at those and put them up there, 2 would give you 0 in the denominator. So what you want to do with 2, cross it off. It's extraneous. It's a false solution. Answer would just be x equals -7. So longer lesson, but gives you an idea of how you solve rational equations.